19.83 and 19.84 in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for discussion and action. Roll call shows all members present except for Mr. Williams, who will probably join us shortly, and Mr. Kimmler, who is excused. At this time, if there is anyone in the audience that would like to come forward for public input or public appearance, you're welcome to do so on any matters besides those that are up for a public hearing tonight. There are 2 public hearings listed on tonight's agenda, so if you are here to speak on any of those, I would ask that you wait until they're up on the agenda to do so. But if it is anyone in the audience that would like to come forward for anything else in public input or public appearance they'd like to bring before this commission, you're welcome to do so. Just come to the podium and state your name and your address for the record. Is there anyone wishing to come forward? If you are here for the public hearing portions, yes, I would ask you to wait for those to be announced, and then when we open the public hearing, you could come forward for those items, just for specifically public hearing items. Yes. You're welcome. No one for public input or public appearance. We'll go on to the next item on the agenda, which is the, I'm sorry, Mr. Retzloff.
I believe Ms. Kaiser is here for the green item, which was subject to a public, which is not a public hearing.
Right.
So it would be appropriate for
You
her
can come forward for that item, Ms. Green, if it's not anything to do with any of the first 2 public hearings, yes. You can come forward because your item, if you're here to speak on item C, yes, then you may come forward at this time.
With that said,
yes,
do you envision us engaging in conversation with the Greens and the Kaisers about that? Because of the way we continued it from December, to give them an opportunity to discuss possible agreement?
It's possible.
Okay.
Do you want us to wait until then?
I
would. Why don't we wait until we bring up item C, and then if you have anything you'd like to bring forward, I'll give you that opportunity. All right? Thank you. All right, then we'll go on to the approval of minutes from the December 9th, 2019 Plan Commission meeting.
Move approval as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion to approve the minutes? No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. That takes us to our first item under new business, which is Nancy Belke Deptola, agent for the Belke Family Trust, property owners located at West 140 North 10833 Country Air Drive, a rezoning application from A2 agricultural and RS3 single family residential to the RS2 single family residential zoning district, and a 3-lot certified survey map for public hearing and action. Give us more information and background on our first item under new business. I'll turn the meeting over to our associate planner, Emily Zant.
Thank you. So the Belke Family Trust is proposing to reconfigure 35.29 acres located off of Country Air Drive into 3 lots, and are proposing a rezoning for Lot 2 from the A2 agricultural and RS3 single-family residential districts to the RS2 single-family residential district. Let's see. The location of the property, again, it's off of Country Air Drive between Fond du Lac Avenue and Country Air Drive, south of Mequon Road and south of the Canadian National Railroad right-of-way. The site is zoned A2 and RS3. The surrounding land uses to the north is industrial, and then again the railroad right-of-way. To the south is residential and commercial. To the east, agricultural and residential, and then to the west is agricultural. So the proposed CSM is to create 3 lots, the first of which would be just over an acre, which would keep the existing RS3 zoning and be sold for a buildable residential lot. Proposed Lot 2, which is just to the north of that, proposed Lot 1 would contain the existing single-family dwelling and accessory structures and be just under 4 acres in size. Lot 2 is the lot which is proposed for a rezoning today. And then Lot 3, which is to the north of both lots 1 and 2, is a proposed 28.879 acre lot, which will keep the A2 agricultural zoning. I would point out on Lot 3, there are wetlands delineated, and then also there is an existing 60-foot wide road reservation that comes off of Fond du Lac Road onto proposed Lot 3, which has been highlighted on the CSM. Again, the rezoning is just for Lot 2 from the A2 district and the RS3 district to the RS2 district. This is consistent with the 2020 land use plan map classification of low-density residential. Again, proposed lots 1 and 3 will maintain their existing zoning. So staff did have some comments about the accessory structures. Going from the A2 zoning district to the RS2 district, there's some change in the allowance for accessory structures. So the RS2 district allows up to 2 detached accessory buildings with a maximum square footage of 1.75% of the total area of the lot. So in this case, the 2 accessory buildings are permitted with a maximum square footage of 3,009. There are 3 existing accessory structures on the building. Based on staff's observation, the 24 by 24 garage is fairly dilapidated and should be removed, which would bring the accessory structures into compliance with the RS2 district requirements. The applicant may also apply to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a variance to this requirement. This has been added as a condition of approval. The village surveyor also has identified technical corrections in a December 20th, 2019 and a January 9th, 2020 revised memo. The copies were attached for you. The corrections have been included as a condition of approval. I do believe we received revised drawings from the surveyor today, but we're awaiting final approval by the village surveyor. So staff recommends approval of the rezoning of the 3.947 acre parcel from the A2 agricultural district and RS3 single family residential district to the RS2 single family residential district as proposed. And then also staff recommends approval of the proposed 3-lot certified survey map of the 35.29 acres owned by the Belke Family Trust and located at W140 and 10833 Country Air Drive, west of Country Air, with 2 conditions.
Okay, thank you. Then I would open this public hearing by hereby stating, a notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Village of Germantown Plan Commission located in Village Hall on Mequon Road in Germantown on Monday, January 13th at 6:30 p.m. or later. Purpose of said hearings is to hear any and all parties, their attorneys, or agents for or against a rezoning application to rezone the property described below from the A2 agricultural to the RS2 single-family zoning district. The applicant is Nancy Belke Deptola, agent for the Belke Family Trust, which is the property owner, and the property is located at West 140, North 10833 Country Air Drive. Is there anyone wishing to come forward at this time to speak for or against the rezoning application? All I'd ask is come to the podium and state your name and your address for the record if you're here to speak for or against.
I'm Donald Toma. I'm from Accurate Surveying, and I'm the surveyor that did the work that's in front of you. I'm here for it. Obviously, I'm here for the client. I think Emily did an outstanding job of introducing it and telling you everything about it. The only thing I can possibly add is existing this parcel, these properties are 4 tax key numbers, and they're really cleaning up, especially that lot number 1. And they're combining the 11 acres, which is along the railroad tracks, to one parcel and dedicating all the roadway that it abuts up to.
Okay.
I can answer any technical questions that you might have on the map, if you have any.
Okay, at the time of discussion, we may bring you forward, but I appreciate you coming forward.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else that wishes to come forward to speak for or against the rezoning application? Sir? Just come to the podium, please.
My name is Ron Coles. I have a property at West 140 in 11091 Country Air. I'm for them to do the rezoning. The only thing I worry about that they don't try to rezone my property because it's commercial, and I'm using it for a cabinet shop now, and it was rezoned when I moved in for that purpose. So I don't want that changed. The other thing is, it's not going to be any cost to the village for the sewer and all that work. They pay for all that
For on this property?
on all the properties.
Well, sir, some of that is being paid for through the development that's happening along Country Air. And
Okay.
some of that is also some of our own costs depending on what it's serving and what's being put in. Mr. Redsall?
And there's no tip on this.
No, sir.
Okay, that's all I wanted. But I'm for it.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you for coming forward.
I was just going to point out that currently the four parcels that are being reconfigured to three are not served by sanitary sewer, but can be because we're in the sanitary sewer service area.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else wishing to come forward to speak for or against the rezoning application? Anyone else? If not, we will then close this public hearing. And board, it's up to you to take action, ask any questions, or bring forward any motions.
I will make a motion to approve the rezoning of the 3.947 acres from A2 agricultural and RS3 single-family to RS2 single-family as proposed.
Okay, leaving the three-lot certified survey map.
Separate, yep.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries.
I'll make another motion to approve the proposed three-lot certified survey map of 35.29 acres owned by the Belkey Family Trust located at said address with the two conditions as presented by the Planning Department.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Nilles?
This just might be a minor clarification that I need, but the CSM and the rezoning map, I think, are numbered differently. Lot 2 on the CSM is, I think, labeled as Lot 1 on the rezoning map, and they're also reversed, Lot 1 and Lot 2. Well, both of those lots seem to be reversed. I guess I just wanted to get that clarified.
I think that the difference in the numbers is on that, the 2019 dated survey versus the 2020, right?
Yeah, you are correct that the rezoning map has the numbers different, reversed from the actual
I
CSM.
noticed that, but I thought that it was just clarified in the later survey.
The one dated 2020.
Right.
Okay, so the later, but one is labeled the CSM and one is labeled the rezoning map.
Right, but the rezoning map is submitted as informational
Yeah,
purposes only. We use the legal description from that to plug into the ordinance that we use to actually publish the zoning change.
Okay.
So you're correct that it's backward or reversed, but it's not a critical
Right, okay,
error.
very good, thank you.
Further discussion? Mr.
Just
Leshevsky?
one item, curious, what's the 65 feet dedicated to the village on the east side, east property line?
Well, over time, the village required dedication for road purposes. You'll notice the difference between 65 feet and what's currently being dedicated as 60 feet around the remaining frontages for the properties subject to the CSM. The current village ultimate right-of-way map for Country Air requires 120 feet. 60 feet on either side of the center line. So that is the reason for the 60 feet along the frontage of Country Air for these properties, subject to the CSM. Why it was 65 feet in the past, Your guess is as good as mine.
Further discussion?
So just to be clear, you're talking about the strip on that here,
Right at the bottom of that gap there,
Yeah.
that part.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Not opposed? Motion carries. Takes us then to new business item B, Zilber Property Group, agent for T1 Investors of Germantown 2 LLC, property owner located at West 210 North 12805 and West 210 North 12855, Gateway Crossing, M1 Plan Development District, PDD, rezoning application, and a two-lot certified survey map up for public hearing and action. To give us some more information and background on this item, I'll turn the meeting over to our Community Development Director, Jeff Retzlaff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Zilber Property Group is proposing what I would term as a minor change to an existing development within a portion of the Germantown Gateway Corporate Park located on Holy Hill Road near the Holy Hill Road US 41 interchange. If you recall, the Gateway Corporate Park was created back in 2018 as part of Tax Incremental District Number 8. There were a series of land use plan map amendments, some rezoning of property, approximately 150 acres from A1 to M1 Limited Industrial, and resulting in the Gateway Corporate Park highlighted in yellow as shown on the screen. And over the course of the last year and a half, we have development in the Gateway Corporate Park, including what we term as Zilber 1, or the Briggs and Stratton building, generally located in this location as shown on the screen. And in the last year, we've had additional development with what we term Zilber 2 and Zilber 3 buildings on Lot 3 of a certified survey map for the area, as highlighted in red. If you recall, last year we had a CSM that redivided the remaining land around the Briggs and Stratton development, the balance, if you will, of the Gateway Corporate Park, creating Lot 3 that's highlighted in red. And as part of that, or concurrent with that approval, the village approved development of the Zilber 2 and Zilber 3 buildings, each approximately 200,000 square feet, that have gone up. They've been constructed in the course of a number of months. In fact, one of the buildings is currently occupied by Smart Warehousing. At this time, Zilber Property Group is proposing to divide Lot 3 into two lots, one each with an existing building. As you can see here, this is the proposed CSM with the proposed line dividing the property into two, as shown in the hatched area. This rendering of the site plan that was approved shows how the two buildings were approved, with that central area between the two buildings, a paved parking area, truck a court, if you will, a maneuvering area. That area under the CSM is subject to an access easement along with the shared driveway between the two buildings. Now, the reason for the planned development district is that right now there's no separation within that parking area between the edge of the parking and the proposed common property line. So in effect, the proposal is to create a new zoning district for this Lot 3 that would have all of the same M1 limited industrial restrictions as the balance of the corporate park, with the exception of the parking lot setback, where the proposal is to reduce it from the minimum 10-foot requirement down to 0. That would enable the existing paved parking area that straddles what is the proposed common property line to remain as is. All of this is proposed in order for the Zilber Property Group to be able to sell the property separately. Zilber 2 on Lot 2 and Zilber 3 on Lot 3. staff recommendation is to approve the Plan Development District, subject to one condition, and also to approve the proposed CSM, dividing Lot 3 of CSM 6898 into 2 parcels. Are there any questions? I see some perplexed faces.
Trustee? Oh,
So are we switching to a PDD or are we changing the zoning?
We're creating a Plan Development District overlay for this portion of the corporate park.
So an M1, a PDD overlay of the M1, so we're not changing the M1.
We're not changing the M1, no.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you said we were.
The only thing that we're changing is the parking lot setback from 10 feet down to nothing. If you recall, and as detailed in the staff report, in the last few months, we've had 2 of these similar situations, Stonecast Products, where the existing zoning code doesn't accommodate the specific circumstances of what the property owner or the developer needs or wants to do in order to move forward with their development. And this has been the only way to realistically accomplish that, creating a special district, modifying one or more restrictions that enables them to move forward as they would prefer. This item is subject to a public hearing.
okay. Thank you. And I'd open up this public hearing by saying a notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Village of Germantown Plan Commission located in Village Hall on Mequon Road in Germantown on Monday, January 13th at 6:30 p.m. or later. The purpose of said hearing is to hear any and all parties, their attorneys or agents for or against to create a planned development district, PDD zoning district for the property described below with an underlying M1 limited industrial zoning district, and number 2, rezone the property described below from the M1 limited industrial zoning district to the newly created PDD zoning district. The applicant is Zilber Property Group, agent for ZPG Development LLC and T1 Investors of Germantown 2 LLC, which is the property owner, and the property is located at West 210 North 12805 Gateway Crossing and West 210 North 12855 Gateway Crossing. Is there anyone wishing to come forward to speak for or against the rezoning application? Anyone wishing to come forward to speak for or against? One last time, is there anyone wishing to come forward to speak for or against the rezoning application? Then this public hearing is now closed.
Make a motion to approve the request to create an M1 limited industrial plan development district for the 33.07 acres located at the address stated earlier with the one condition discussed by the planning department.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. No discussion? And all those in favor, please,
Question.
sorry, Mr. Leshewski.
Director Retzloff, what do we potentially lose by doing this? I mean, it's a PDD, kind of like we have 2 buildings, there's no setbacks. I mean, is this something we should have anticipated when we were looking at it the first go-round? Or is it better to have the docks back-to-back like they are? I'm just curious your professional opinion.
Well, the original proposal by Zilber Property Group obviously had 2 buildings on one parcel, which is allowed under the code, and they were able to share and benefit from that common central paved area. It makes a lot of sense. At the same time, it makes sense for the owner of the property to have some flexibility if they want to sell one of those. I kind of struggled with this when I first reviewed it as to, what can we do to the code that isn't so drastic as, creating a special zoning district just to adjust one feature in there. And I really couldn't come up with anything off the top of my head that, maybe we need to take a closer look at our non-residential zoning districts and build in some flexibility that could be used in a situation like this without having to go through this route. It's time and resources and again, all for one minor modification to create a situation that also seems reasonable. So maybe over the course of the year, we'll take a closer look at that as time permits.
In something like this, the applicant set out to build 2 buildings and manage 2 buildings. Somebody comes along and says, I want to buy it. What do? They didn't design it to be sold, but they have the opportunity. What can we do to make a small change to allow somebody to sell one of the buildings and not both of them? So.
Further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Not opposed, motion carries. Did you include the CSM in your?
No, I'm going to do that second. I'll make a motion to approve the proposed 2-lot certified survey map for the 30.7 acres as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed, motion carries. Takes care of all items listed on tonight's agenda under a public hearing. So we'll go on then to item C. Stephen and Elizabeth Green, located at North 116, West 16033 Main Street. A zoning permit to construct an attached garage and a detached accessory building for discussion and action continued from the December 9th, 2019 Plan Commission meeting. For some more information and background, I'll turn the meeting back over to our Community Development Director, Jeff Retzlaff.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you recall, the Greens own property on Main Street, 2 parcels adjacent to each other across from the Gale Foods plant. The Green property is on the south side of Main Street, and they are proposing to construct two buildings, a detached accessory building on the south side of their property, which will be the second accessory building on the property, and also proposing to construct an attached garage to the existing dwelling. At our December meeting, we discussed a number of issues that, if need be, we can delve back into. But in effect, it sort of came back to the fact that there is no existing agreement or easement to share a driveway between the Greens and their neighbor to the east, the Kaisers. And in the course of our discussion in December, a representative for the Kaisers spoke and asked the Plan Commission if they would consider tabling action for at least a month to give them an opportunity to better understand the proposal and also to explore the possibility of entering into an easement agreement with the Greens, which staff feels is an important piece in order to first establish a base from which to move in terms of guiding future development of the attached garage to the house because of its proximity to the existing shared driveway and the possibility of whether or not the garage doors face the east or the south having some impact or bearing on whether or not vehicles destined to and from the Green property will travel on the Kaiser property more than they currently do within that shared driveway area. So with that said, I would point out that having been involved in communications with both Ms. Kaiser and the Greens, it's my understanding that there is discussion between the 2 parties about an agreement, but I'm not aware that an agreement has actually been reached at this point. So I know, Ms. Kaiser, you were here. You wanted to address the Plan Commission. Did you have something specific that you can share with us and the Greens as well, as far as your discussions about an easement agreement?
Okay, I am Robin Whitty, and I live in the property that's to the east of the Greens at North 116, West 16009 Main Street. I'm Stephanie Kaiser's mother. So in response to this second garage that the Greens want to build, I am requesting that the changes be made to this current garage plan that's submitted. There's simply not enough room. There's not adequate room for the vehicle to back out of the planned garage and turn around and exit north out of the driveway without encroaching upon our private property. There's not enough space for a backing out pattern there. If one had to strategically figure out how to maneuver their vehicles, such as backing into the garage only, or which side of the garage for which vehicle and at what angle to try to not encroach upon the neighboring property, I think that speaks for itself. Clearly, there's not enough room for this garage placement. Regardless of the zoning, trespassing is still trespassing. And this is not about the Greens having a small cramped lot where there is nowhere else for them to place this second garage. The Greens have a substantial lot. They have a double lot. And the Greens could easily place this garage further west on their property by their back door where they currently park their vehicles. There would be adequate space there for this backing out pattern onto their own private parcel. And this would not be imposing on anyone. I also have a concern about this second garage placement plan, as it doesn't appear that it would leave enough room for the Greens RV and boat to get through to exit north out of the driveway without driving over the grass divide area. And part of this grass divide area is our property. And I don't want the grass driven over as part of the Greens' new thoroughfare. Again, this is encroachment. And I do not feel that the Greens' plans submitted adequately show how very close our house is, our pool and our deck, to our driveway. I'm concerned about the noise and exhaust fumes that would be directed toward my area and pool deck. The Greens have larger vehicles, one of which is a Thunderbird. It's a classic car. And the sound of fumes from this large engine would be directed right at me. And this is an infringement on my enjoyment of my yard. If the Greens are not going to park their classic Thunderbird in there, that's fine, but this speaks again for itself that clearly it would be because there's not enough room there for this garage placement. The Greens also have a van, and I want you to see the pictures that I brought of my own van, which is comparable in size and shape to the Greens van. I need you to understand how very small this area is and that our property is right there. I've labeled these photos along with an explanation of this backing out pattern. And I also wonder how this would affect our property value. Our new tear-off roof alone cost us just under $30,000. Living and repairing this beautiful old Victorian is expensive, and it's a labor of love. What about our resale value? This is not an alley. This is our driveway, and I'm asking the committee to please deny these current plans submitted for the second garage to be facing onto the side of our driveway.
Robin, don't leave yet.
No, I have some here. I only have 7.
That's all right.
So
We'll share.
Just need to pull it down here.
somebody down here.
Oh, we're good.
I have an extra. Do you want it?
sharing.
No? Okay. So I'm sorry, not all the pictures are in color. So if you look at picture number 1, okay. My van is simulating a backing out pattern from proposed garage plans. Note the green spray paint on the ground in front of the van. This is where Steve Green has marked as to where the front of the garage and the east corner would be. Front facing east toward our house and side facing south onto the Green's backyard. You can see that my wheel is turning and I'm starting to back out. Picture number 2, at this point, you can clearly see how very close our house and deck is. In this picture, the van is completely on the Green's property, backing up to be able to exit north out of the driveway. In picture number 3, here the van is already encroaching across our property. Picture number 4, in this closer shot, you can see how tight of a turn in a very small area that this is. Note that our pool and deck are right there. One cannot help but to go over the grass divide onto our private property. Picture number 5, not quite able to go forward yet to be able to drive north, exiting the driveway. Picture number 6, ready, and we're starting to move forward, going north. Notice how completely on our private parcel that the van now is. You can see the tire marks in the snow and how tight of a turn that this is. There would be a need to trespass onto our property in order to back out of this proposed garage. Then in number 7, this is a close-up view of the tire marks crossing the grass area, encroaching on our property. Picture number 8, standing on the driveway, looking south. It's another angle, and you can see the Green's property on the right with their present garage facing west. And the last photo is looking north now, and you can see that this is a small area. Our house and our pool deck is very close to our driveway. So I'm asking to please deny this proposal as it stands right now.
Trustee Ball.
Director Retzlaff, as I recall, the property line goes down the center of this driveway.
No, it doesn't.
No,
It doesn't?
No, most of the driveway that exists that you can see in the top aerial
Yes.
between the homes is located on the
Our
Kaiser
property, yeah.
property.
Most of it, but not all of it.
We measured it. It's 3'6" on our side and 7 foot on their side.
Part of that grass area is ours. Actually, part of their garage in the back is on our property. It has been forever.
So-
The wall is, so that's,
My question is, if we're not going to share this driveway anymore, you have to move your portion of the driveway and they have to install a new driveway of theirs.
well,
The answer to that, too.
my concern is, I was not told about this garage and then the placement facing, that it was going to face east in our driveway there. And I feel it's an infringement of the enjoyment of my yard. And they have this double lot. And the driveway branches off kind of like a Y, going straight and going over. And my concern is that in order for this garage to be there, that they'll have to, in order to make that backing up pattern, go over the grass area and onto our private parcel. And there's no reason to do that.
They have to go partially onto your private parcel today to get to and from their backyard.
Up to where their turnoff
to the
is.
Y.
Up to where the turnoff is onto their property, their driveway.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with them using the northern part of the driveway on your parcel, is that correct? You only have a problem with where the Y is and them cutting over your grass and getting onto your property south of where the Y is.
Correct, and I also have a problem with the garage facing right there, because if you look at those pictures, our house is right there with our pool and deck, and that would be backing right up to where we sit.
Well, they're going to be backing onto your driveway, backing onto your yard.
Well,
And
they
I'm
would,
trying to understand where the line is drawn in the sand that this is too much onto my property, because obviously on the northern part of this driveway, everybody's okay with that.
well, there's an encroachment there,
Yes,
us on theirs and theirs on ours, but the driveway branches off.
Right.
And it's a driveway. So when it reaches the back of our houses,
Yep.
I just feel it's an infringement, and there's not enough space there for what they're proposing. There's clearly not enough space for a back-out pattern, and I'm concerned about the fumes and with the garage being right there, and that's,
You are opposed to them being on your property past the Y in the driveway.
yes, I am opposed that they would
That's your
have.
opposition.
Well,
That's-
that they would have to, encroach on our property because they want to place this garage in this little area
Yeah.
where there's not enough room.
So you're okay with the encroachment on the northern part, but once they hit the Y, you don't want them on your property. That's what we're deciding.
Once they hit that Y, that's their private drive to do as they wish on their private parcel. As that goes up, that's our backyard there.
So you don't want them on your property south of the Y. That's.
Correct. I do
okay.
not want them,
Okay.
encroaching on that so they can get in and out of this garage.
Okay.
You don't want the garage on that side.
Well, that's the yes. So now,
Now, even if that garage was facing south, say,
yes,
I still have a concern. They have a lot of recreational vehicles, and I can't picture their RV fitting between. Okay, well, in the boats, going past the garage without having to come up on the grass area, I don't think there'd be enough room.
I can't have a discussion like this going on. Nobody's hearing the second part, but you'll have an opportunity.
so I'm back to where you do not want them on your property. So as long as their boats, any future RVs, any motorcycles, any vehicle that is going to be in back of their house, as long as it doesn't cross the property line until south of the Y, you're okay.
Yeah, I think as it stands now, it's pretty clear where their driveway goes off,
Yeah,
and then where our property is.
I can
and
see
that's
where the Y is.
Yeah, and that's fine.
And as long as they don't come on your property south of the Y, you'll be happy.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That is all the questions I have for Ms. Whitty.
Yeah.
If anybody else has anything else.
Other questions?
Okay,
I was just going to sort of refresh some memories here. Where it was left as far as the staff recommendation, we were recommending approval of the zoning permit for the two buildings to be constructed, the detached accessory building and the attached garage, subject to 5 conditions. The most important of which was number 5, which sort of put the burden back on both property owners for working out the issue. The condition reads, prior to issuance of a building permit for construction of the proposed attached garage, a shared driveway/easement agreement between the Greens and the property owner to the east shall be entered into and recorded. A copy of said agreement shall be submitted with the building permit application. The thought was that the two parties would work out what portion of the existing shared driveway would be subject to this agreement, presumably, cutting it off at some point, like you discussed this evening, where the Y splits off. And then with that in hand, then we could proceed. And if there was no agreement, or maybe part of the agreement, the Greens and the other party would come to terms as far as which side the garage doors would be located.
okay.
So that was where we were going with that aspect of the proposal. Do you want me to complicate it now, or?
Let's give the opportunity of the Greens to come forward and bring any information that they want first before we complicate it.
Okay.
Before we get involved.
Hello, my name's Stephen Green, and I live at North 116-16033 Main Street. We actually found an easement agreement that was made from the people that owned our house and the person who owned the lot that we own now too, which gave us right to that driveway. So, which, I mean, when they recorded this, they really should have, whoever the owner of their property was should have been included on it too, but it gave us right. It says under here, the area of the easement shall be only the portion of the existing driveway, it says. So it says that they have an easement on that existing driveway.
Right, but if you look at the graphic on the right, and this is where it gets complicated, because the Greens own two parcels, looking at the graphic on the left, you can obviously see the house lot on the right with the house and a detached building shaded in gray. The vacant lot, the second lot they own, is to the left. And running through the middle diagonally of the house lot is a 10-foot wide access easement that after it runs diagonally over to the east property line, it then runs due north and south. It's 10 feet in width, and it lies entirely on the Green property. And that was intended to give access to the vacant lot owner's property. It does not grant anybody the right to use.
Well, it says existing driveway also.
The Kaiser property, but they're not party to the agreement. And the legal description doesn't include that. So what it does is it gives you, as now the owner of the vacant parcel, to right to access that property by way of a 10-foot wide access easement across your house property up along the east side of your property. And that's as far as it goes. It doesn't include any of the adjacent property to the east, which is why staff was pushing for a separate agreement between you and the property owner to the east to hopefully resolve this matter.
We don't have a problem with signing the agreement, but what I'm wondering also is too, I know you want to have these signed driveway agreements, I guess just to cover everybody, but with us being commercial properties required under that to have these signed agreements also? I mean, I know under residential, but this is a commercial property.
May I?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you don't have the right to encroach on their property.
Right, well, under the rules of adverse possession, the driveway's been established for so long that neither one of us can take use away from each other.
Up to the Y in the road.
Yeah.
You can't go over the grass.
But she was a little misleading with her. I didn't get to see the pictures you guys showed, but they put a stake in that grass plot that's there, and of that grass plot they own, that plot is probably 10 or 12 feet wide. They own, because the line is going under the middle of the driveway. They actually only own about a foot or two of that grass plot. We own all of it. We own the grass plot. So really, if I wanted to, we could pave into that grass plot. But I also sent a picture to Jeff, a video of me pulling our vehicle into where the garage is going to be and then backing it out, and we never even have to go on that grass. And that's past the Y. I never leave my asphalt driveway pulling in and out of the garage area. And all the times talking about breaking and entering or however she was saying it, encroaching on her personal property, we weren't asked for them to come onto our property and drive her van. So that's very nice that they did that without our.
The condition that we are looking for, that we have said last month and this month, is for the two parties to set up an agreement how they're going to share this driveway. Because it has never been documented for all of time, and we just want it documented.
Right. Now, the other part of the complication is there's another condition that staff recommended, and the Greens seem to be amenable to that since they own both parcels, and that was to pursue a certified survey map combination to combine the two parcels that the Greens own and in so doing, eliminate that 10-foot wide access easement. Because right now, as it stands, the Greens could sell that vacant parcel, which was the original intention of when it was created and why that easement was included. Along with that sale would be the right to cut across the Greens property and use the 10 feet along their east property line, including the 3.7 feet of the paved driveway and whatever else they can squeeze onto. The problem is that unless that 10-foot wide easement is removed, as shown on the graphic on the right, there's now only 10 feet between the face of the proposed garage and that 10-foot wide access easement. So if I were to acquire the Green's second property, I want to have free and clear access across their property to get to mine, and there's only 10 feet between the east side of the garage that's proposed and that easement. So there's just not enough room to put the garage doors on the east and accommodate any vehicle moving in and out, no matter whether you're watching the Kaiser video or photos or Mr. Green's video, which is why the staff condition number 2 is unless that 10-foot access easement is eliminated, vacated or removed, the garage doors for the attached garage should be located on the south and not on the east.
And just so you know, the main reason that we're against putting it on the south side is to get 2 indoor parking spots, we will lose 3 outdoor parking spots to do that if we have to use. And besides the point of making a 4-point turn to get out of the driveway at that point, because you'll have to either come down the driveway back into the garage, and then when you leave, you'll have to pull out, back up, and go like this to get back out. And her concerns about from the corner of the garage till whether we can get past their vehicles, I measured where the corner of the garage was till just the paved part that we have right now, which is past the split and it's all ours. It's 14 feet of asphalt there. So any vehicle or boat can get through the 14-foot section.
It was my hope that there could be some resolution reached between the 2 property owners that would enable the Plan Commission to act on the zoning permit application for the garages. I don't know. It's not clear to me that that's going to happen.
So if you have something that would be considered, is that driveway considered non-conforming in a sense?
Oh, yes.
So being it's non-conforming and you have new construction being proposed, wasn't it always the village's stance to clean up non-conforming when anything new is proposed to be built?
The requirement in the code with regard to non-conforming driveways is, in essence, if a driveway is modified after the date the code was adopted in 1988, then the driveway, its reconstruction should be brought up to code compliance, which in this case would be a minimum 5-foot setback from the property line. So if both the Greens and Kaiser had to reconstruct their own new driveway, each would have to be 5 feet from that common property line. And arguably, there's little room left to do so on the Kaiser property and not much more on the Green property.
You're right against the house?
Right. I just don't see that there's any way you could approve the attached garage with garage doors facing to the east without there being some sort of easement agreement with the property owner to the east in order to maneuver properly or safely.
It only leaves the alternative to the south.
To the south, to the west.
But your stance on garage doors only to the south is if the easement that stands on the right side is not eliminated. Then you're saying that it needs to go to the south because they are not far enough away from that easement.
Right, but the presumption is that through condition 5, there would be an agreement reached where they would sort out the issue of which side the garage doors could go on to satisfy their mutual concerns so they could reach a driveway agreement.
Yeah, we're already talking to a surveyor about combining the lots in which we'll get rid of that 10-foot easement.
So,
That I remember from the last time, that you had no problem doing that, and that actually, part of the reason that was brought in so that it would save parking spaces that were along Main Street that were created later.
I mean, the whole issue of the turning around and us going in there, we won't have to go onto their property. I mean, we're back on our own asphalt past the split where we'd be doing these turnarounds and everything. And it's just they don't want to look at the garage door. I mean, that's all it is. This is a whole situation. And if we look to our neighbor towards the west, their garage door points towards us. I mean, it's not, I can't see that would affect the value of their house, having a garage door pointing at it. Brand new houses are built with garage doors pointing towards each other.
Just 1 second.
My experience, when I lived on the east side of Milwaukee, I had an alley that our garage was open onto. And a 2-car garage with a 16-foot door, you could not get the second car into the garage forward when the first car was in. The car wouldn't turn sharp enough. You always had to back the cars in because the back end would scoot right along the garage door and the front end would swing around. And then when you pulled out, you could get the front end out to pull out. So with 20 feet, if you either need a wider garage to get the cars pulled in frontwards so that the front end can swing around, or you're going to have to back the cars in all the time like we did. So I agree that it is too tight to stay on your property if you're just going to do drive in, back out, drive out. I think you're going to have to manipulate something on this.
Other questions? Without number 5, there's really no purpose in moving forward until we have 5. I mean, we could approve it or discuss it, but I'd rather see it worked out first. And right now, it's not any closer than it was a month ago.
What I'm asking then is to the Kaisers, if we switch the doors to the rear, then they have no problem with the garage? Yeah, to the south side. I mean, but for us to do that road, we have to change because inside of that garage is a set of steps that are going to be going into the basement, which kind of, we're going to have to make the thing a little bit more towards the south so we can get the cars in there. Mm-hmm. Right.
But you got plenty of room to the south.
Well, he's talking about accommodating something internally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a solution.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Without resolution to number 5, there's no sense in us moving forward with anything. So do we table this for another month so you guys can hammer out an agreement and get it in writing?
Is it also plans need to be resubmitted showing garage door to the south? Or something?
Ultimately, at least for the building permit application, a detailed plan showing that, but for your purposes, for the zoning permit, you could approve it with the direction that the garage doors have to face or be located on the south elevation.
Okay. Before we even consider any of that, you had something that you wanted to say? Somebody wanted to come forward and make comment?
I did. I just wanted to mention that we are trying to work out an agreement. It's in progress, and I understand that you sent me something and that I need to take a look over, and it didn't come through quite right, so hopefully you can resend that. So we are working on that and trying to come to some sort of agreement. But I did want to just reiterate, and we have the satellite photo. In addition to past the Y in that green space area, there's also a lilac bush, which I would very much like to stay there. That is on our property, and I am concerned. I don't know what your plans are, if you want to put more asphalt down or to help, because I did email Director Retzloff after having consulted with my attorney, and understood that after the requisite period of time, if my neighbors were to use my property and needed to use it in order to access their garage, that they could claim adverse possession. And this is not property that we are both using currently. This is well past that. And that night, actually, I watched them backing out their minivan in that area, and it took 3 tries, and they had to go onto the grass area with the back pressed against the lilac bush to make the turn. So I know that I don't want to talk about this ad nauseum, but I wanted to mention that that was there as well, that there's a lilac bush right there by the boundary line. So we will continue to try to work out an agreement, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for coming.
So
Commissioners,
which way do we want to go? Do we want to table it?
It's up to
or do
you.
we wanna-
it's up to commission. Planner Retzloff has presented us 2 avenues for confusion.
Ms. Kleiber, do you have a problem if we approve this with the conditions that they turn the driveway south and you guys work out in a written agreement?
Provided that does not.
That's not part of,
More of her property?
right, that's not part of the agreement.
No.
They wouldn't be able to do that.
Would have to specify the area within which you're sharing the use of.
And at what point it stops.
Right.
Very, very detailed in regards to this is the property we're sharing, and here is where it stops. So once it is designated as to where you stop sharing it, then it becomes, and it's obvious as to where that is right now, it would be your property. So no, they can't go beyond what would be considered their property line. You're talking about a shared driveway, but you're not asking for it to be, or unless you agree upon it, to be expanded in regards to anything additional for asphalt or for accessibility. That would be between your 2 property owners to work out. All we're looking for is an agreement in place that says, based on this agreement, this driveway will be shared, and here's the area of where it's going to be shared, from this to here, and at this wide.
Onto that little grass area that's in the Y, the part of that that's on our property and that lilac bush, we want to stay there. We don't want that removed, that's on our property. And so if they need to do that to make that swing to get into a south-facing garage, I have some concerns about that.
And Steve had mentioned to me that they did intend to actually have that area redone with asphalt, and I don't want that point.
Well, I was talking about when it was going to point south, because we would have had to tear out the asphalt in front of it. I mean, not southeast, when we were going to be going east, and we would have to redo the asphalt from there. But, I mean, the part of that island that is theirs, we didn't need to put in asphalt or make a turn out of that garage. It wouldn't be on their property.
Right.
So, you have nothing to say what we asphalt on our own property.
That's not necessarily true. You have an existing non-conforming driveway. You, by code, if you make improvements to that, you need to meet the current code requirements, which include a 5-foot setback.
Is that for commercial?
It's for any driveway, yes, commercial, residential, non-residential.
Quite frankly, I think I want to see the drawings. I want to see it come back here so we can say, this is what everybody's agreed to. So,
Right, then it's out in the open.
yeah, so I would like to table it or postpone it.
If you table it, there's no discussion.
I'd like to table it until next meeting.
That is your motion.
Can I ask one question before you table it?
Yes.
Jeff, in the write-up in your comments, at least what I took away from it was basically you were saying that we should follow the lot to be considered viewed and regulated as though the property was in a similar sized residential area, and that based on that, in your sentence, it says this would not allow the proposed detached accessory building, but your recommendation is to approve the detached accessory building. So unrelated to the garage, I'm wondering, are you recommending that get approved, or that not be not approved as part of it?
Well, I guess that's the whole other wrinkle to this, that the B3 general business zoning applies to the property, but it's being used for residential purposes. And the B3 district is void of any specificity as far as how to handle continued or redevelopment of property in B3 for residential purposes, which is why we got into that whole discussion about how should we view this as a commercial property, or do we view it as a residential property? And if we view it as a residential property, you know, do we look at it in terms of which zoning district? Well, the RS5 and the 4 or 6 are comparable depending upon whether it's a single parcel or whether the two parcels are joined. And I think at some point in the discussion last month, I thought there was some general consensus that because it is B3, we have to view it and treat it as a commercial, I'm sorry.
I see it. That's how I see it. I mean, it is the benefit of the zoning, and it's nothing, it's just a result of what it is.
Right. And if that's the case, then the Plan Commission decides how many buildings you can allow on the property, what the setbacks should be, if you want something more than the minimum required. I mean, that's where the whole Plan Commission review authority kicks in and becomes fairly significant in terms of reviewing development on this property.
Thanks for clarifying, just because I was taking it as though in the language you were recommending we not approve it, but then in your condition or your actual recommendation was that we did, so I just wanted to clarify. Thanks.
All right, we have a motion. Did I hear a second?
Wait, Jeff, did you have something else you wanted to say? Okay.
Okay, motion made and seconded to table.
Till next month.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Not opposed? Motion carries.
You understand?
Any other
You under-
questions?
Do you understand what's happening?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
The next meeting, though, I thought there's 1 in 2 weeks.
This will be for February, correct?
Yes, the next Plan Commission meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, the date is February.
We do not have a meeting in 2 weeks. The next meeting, yeah, sometimes we do have the second. This month, we do not.
Right. So it'll be the second Monday in February. Okay?
The 10th.
And that would be on February 10th. So thank you both for coming. Thank you for continuing to work this through. Thank the Greens for the possibility of looking at rearranging or resetting your garage for the doors to the south. I appreciate that consideration. I may be out in your area, just looking closer, so if it is all right with either of you, if you see me, you can recognize me, I'll wear my glasses. If you'd allow me to take a closer look, I would appreciate that as well. All right, thank you so much. Next item under new business is item D, Newman Development, agent for Renwood LLC and Freistadt Land Development LLC. Property owners, lots 2 and 3 of CSM 6890, 67 acres located west of Country Air Drive and north of Mequon Road. Final subdivision plat for Phase 1, south, 47 lots of the Renwood residential subdivision. Give us some more information and background on this new business item. I'll turn the meeting back over to our Community Development Director, Jeff Retzloff.
Thank you, Mr. President. Newman Developments, agent for Renwood LLC, is requesting approval of final plat for a portion of the Renwood subdivision. Renwood, approximately 150 acres in size, was approved back, the original concept plan was approved back in 2008. Preliminary plat approval was granted in 2018, along with rezoning and land use plan map amendments, and as well as the creation of the Renwood Plan Development District. The zoning includes RS5 single family under the PDD and also RM2 multifamily under the Renwood PDD. The general development plan that was approved, as shown on the screen, shows clearly 2 areas of development. To the north, single-family lots. In the central area, a large open space, approximately 60 acres in size, an environmentally sensitive area that divides the 2 developed areas. And then the south side, single-family lots and multifamily condominiums. It's the south area that's being developed first. What I termed a Phase 1, the south, includes the 44 multifamily condo dwelling units that received site and development plan approval from the Plan Commission in April of last year and are ready to go as far as development, and 47 single-family lots around that area and to the north, served by Renwood Drive out to Country Air Drive. The final plat is included in your packet, and as shown on the screen, includes the 47 lots and the road rights-of-way to be dedicated as part of the final plat. I would point out that not all of the public improvements are completely done at this point. Lift station and sanitary sewer, some water and streets are still under construction and are anticipated to be completed this spring. The development agreement between Renwood LLC and the village does allow the recording of the final plat. There's going to be some amendments proposed that will go along with the final plat when it goes to the village board that more specifically addresses this situation. But the developer is requesting approval of the final plat so it can be recorded to accommodate the transfer of lots to and from partner companies under the overall Newman Companies umbrella. However, the development agreement, while it does or will allow the construction of some model homes, wouldn't allow occupancy of any homes until all of the public improvements are completed and operational, again, which is anticipated for spring of this year. So the staff recommendation at this point is to approve the Renwood final subdivision plat, subject to 3 conditions. One that simply says that the developer is responsible for ensuring all the improvements are done and acceptable to the Public Works Department prior to acceptance, as required under the development agreement. The developer needs to submit deed restrictions and covenants to the village attorney for review prior to village board review of the final plat. We do have a draft copy of those that have been submitted and will be forwarded on to the village attorney for his review. And then finally, a letter of no objection needs to be received from the Department of Administration. Everything's in the works for that to happen prior to village board review and approval of the final plat. The developer is awaiting any final changes that might be made or recommended by the Plan Commission tonight that would be made to the final plat document submitted to the DOA for their final review prior to issuing their no objection letter. At this point, it's our understanding that there are no objections by the DOA and or the Department of Transportation that has review authority because the land lies adjacent to State Highway 167 or Mequon Road. Steve DeClean, representing Newman Companies Developments, is here. If we have any questions, or Steve, if you wanted to have any comments at this point, you're welcome to come forward.
I really don't have any comments. That's Jeff. Great run through of that. But if you guys have any questions for me about the development, how things are going, or anything you want to know about.
I just have a quick question. When do you anticipate the lift station and public water and sanitary to be completed? I mean, do you have a more specific time frame?
I would expect it to be done around the middle of May.
Okay.
Have there been any reconsiderations along the way that we are not going to do like we had in another subdivision? I'm very sensitive to that issue now.
I'm not sure I know what you mean by reconsideration.
We've changed our mind and we're not going to do this.
That was more towards a...
I know, but I'm very sensitive to it now.
Well, that'd be pretty hard at this point. There's a lot of
I
stuff in the
wanna
ground.
make sure.
No, there's nothing.
We're completely mass graded through the entire site. The stormwater ponds are in. They're dewatering right now to start installation of the lift station. The footings and get excavated for the building that's going to house the generator. We are in full motion.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the Wrenwood Final Subdivision Plat, Phase 1, as proposed, subject to the 4 conditions as presented.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion or questions? No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Not opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming. Last item under new business is item E, Community Development Department. Introduction to the village's new zoning hub online zoning information and development application and tracking portal for discussion.
Thanks. We'll try and be brief. The Planning and Zoning Division of the Community Development Department is launching our new tailor-made interactive web-based zoning information system called Zoning Hub. With the recent launch of Zoning Hub, it's actually operational now and accessible by way of our website. The days of only being able to get zoning information by either stopping in or calling and talking to Lori are behind us. That's not to say you can't call in or stop in to get information, but now we have another more convenient and easily accessible opportunity or alternative for getting that information. As Emily's going to show you in a couple of minutes, it's not just a digital zoning map. It also incorporates the zoning code. It incorporates our application forms and procedures. It will enable, for example, residents to track development proposals that they're interested in, that are in their area, and get notifications of when things get submitted or when actions or meetings are scheduled. It's really a very robust system that we hope will improve our delivery of accurate information to the public concerning not just zoning, but also development proposals throughout the village. So with that, I'll turn it over to Emily.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to show you on our website where to go to find the Zoning Hub. Right on the top, there's I guess a light black bar there, a gray bar, and on the far right, Zoning Hub is up there. If you scroll down, we just have an introductory page to Zoning Hub, and then if you click on the interactive zoning code link, it brings up the Zoning Hub site. One of the most predominant features of the website is, of course, the zoning map itself. And you can, once you go to the site, there's a pop-up that comes up allowing you to sign up for the e-alerts. And I'll go through that in a minute, so I'm just going to close out of that. So again, the zoning map is like one of the most prominent features of the site. And I can click on this main bar here to pull up a map of the entire village. On the left-hand side, under base map, you can select an aerial image. You can change the opacity of the zoning layer. You can also turn on and off additional layers such as the floodplain. There's a highway interchange overlay map, historic preservation. So those are there for you to turn on and turn off as you'd like. But the really useful aspect of this site, which is something that I've found that not all online zoning maps provide, is specific details on districts. So it allows someone to say, okay, I identify that my zoning is, say, RS1, for example. What does that mean to me? So you can go ahead and filter by district on the left-hand side and say I wanted to find all of the properties that are zoned institutional. I could do that. It would pull all of them up, select them. I can then look at the description of the district, the dimensional standards, showing the building height maximum, front yard, side yard, rear yard setback, maximum building coverage, etc. Here. And then it would also show the different permitted uses in that district. Another option would be to filter by land use, and we are still working on getting this totally online. But I did want to just show you that, for example, if I wanted to find out where I can locate an animal hospital, I would click on animal hospital. It would pull up all of the districts in which an animal hospital is permitted through a conditional use permit. It would show the parking requirements for the land use. And then, depending on which parcel I would choose, I could look at the dimensional standards and the district description for the A1 district, the B3, or the B5. So it gives you a lot more information than just the zoning district. And so then lastly, another feature would be to find a property. You can search by address, you can search by parcel number or owner name, and that would pull up a list of properties owned by that person, or the address that you have selected. One of the things I just wanted to show, I'm just going to type in a parcel number, 3548, which pulls up just one of the parcels. And if I click on property details, it will pull up this information: the owner, the address, the parcel number, the zoning district. And then it also says on this parcel to be aware that there is a 100-year floodplain located on this parcel. So I can press create parcel summary. And slowly it would pull up a summary of the parcel. There's some more information on the zoning details, and you can find out more information, ask staff a question about the parcel, share this page link, etc. So let's see, the other tools on the site can be accessed from the home page under highlights here. But the tools that are also available on the top. So I just wanted to point out there's highlights of the zoning district, the land uses, dimensional standards. We do have a page for procedures, which details each of the development application procedures, and then definitions that are in our zoning code. Under administration, you can click on pending applications and find all of the applications. These are the ones online are for this meeting. So if I click on, say, for example, the Renwood subdivision, I can find out where it's located on the map, and it kind of shows a target there. I can request to follow the application and enter my email address. So it's a great way for residents to follow specific development cases that they're interested in. I will go back here one more thing. Our application forms are all on there. Here's a tool for finding your zoning, which is essentially just searching by property. And then you can sign up for e-alerts, which is a neat feature. You can select either if you want to be notified for development applications anywhere in the village, or you can select within a specified distance of your house, for example. So you can just drag and drop the little point there on to where you live, and then say, I want to know about everything within 1 mile of my home. So that's customizable, and then anytime an application is submitted for that area, the resident would receive an email. Let's see. So there's still updates and information that we are working on. Of course, this will be a kind of an ongoing project to keep updated and with all the changes that are happening. But we are really excited about the information that we're able to share with the residents now. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out to staff. Yeah.
As a trustee, does this become an interactive tool that we can use? Those people who want to be informed, can we as trustees get that list so we can start communicating with those people? Is that?
That I don't know, but that's a good question. We'll have to ask our consultant, Tim Schwecke with Civitech, if that's a feature that we can take advantage of, basically getting a regular printout or dumping of the list of folks who expressed an interest.
Yeah, I don't know what this system is going to send out to people, but I know when I was involved in the last subdivision, I was sending out emails every couple of weeks of, this is what happened at last night's meeting.
Sure. And
is that what you're going to be communicating now, or?
And something I apologize I didn't highlight. Under pending applications, under the subdivision. So there's a section for chronology. So today's Plan Commission meeting is on there. The proposed date for the village board meeting is on there. The application materials. And it does give staff the ability to go in and send updates or notices saying the Plan Commission recommended approval of this final subdivision plat at their January 13th meeting.
So we have that capability. Now, how quickly we get to that point where we're sending out regular updates, that remains to be seen. But I think ultimately that's the goal, so that you don't have to do that yourself. But we'll look into your question. I have the feeling there might be some issue with somebody signing up for something and not knowing that their information is being shared. I don't know if we have anything that in the signing up part that somebody's agreeing that their email can be shared with their village trustee. I don't know if that's a problem. It might be, but in any event, you can then direct people, though, to sign up to get notifications and to keep abreast of that.
And the only way I can do that is to go door to door, because I don't have their phone numbers, I don't have their email addresses. It becomes cumbersome and time consuming. Whereas when people put this on there that, hey, I want to be notified, well, great, there's somebody I can notify, there's all the information, let's notify them of what's happening and what's going on.
But they're signing up for it, so they will be notified in regards to any updates that are happening.
But if I get a communication from somebody or something and I want to get that information out to these residents that wasn't at a meeting, it was at a separate meeting, or we're going to have a separate meeting that is independent of this, the neighborhood meeting that is not part of this system.
Nor would it be.
But now I could use this to notify more people if I had access to it.
Not when it's outside of a village meeting that's publicly noticed. I mean, if you're going to go back to the Veridian Homes, when Veridian put together their meeting, that's their meeting. I mean, we could probably make notice that there possibly is a meeting, but what you then start to gray is that somehow we're affiliated with that, or we've planned it, or we're part of it. Where when it's Veridian and they're putting together their informational meeting, that's their informational meeting. And I'm not trying to draw lines to keep us, of that's you and not us. It's more of people misunderstanding who's behind it. And who's the cause of it and why it's happening out there. And then when it becomes an issue, who are they going to come back to and blame? And when it's a meeting outside of what the village notices and what we go through our normal committees and our village board meetings, I think that should always be separate from. And it's up to that group to get it out to whomever they want to come to that meeting, or how many people they want to come to the meeting. What separates this now is that you have the ability of another communication tool rather than somebody reading it in the paper or happening to see a notice here because they walked in, because they've signed up and now they're being part of the process because they're sent information to say, this meeting's coming up, or this was approved at the last meeting and village board will now take it up. So then they can choose where they want to interact with this based on the information that's coming from here. And I think it's the next step of communications that we were talking about a while back as to how do we get information out to people of what's happening in the village. This does that. Now, does it take that first step to get in there and take a look at it and sign up for it? Yeah, but those people that are interested in those items, this is not that hard to do. It's harder to go to the village and find out what's on the board. It's harder to probably get into the website and search through the whole plan commission agendas, where this is simple. It's a simple sign up and you say, I want to know information about this area, or I want to know information about this item that's now happening, and it's sent to you. That's great. That's way above and beyond what we've had before in any fashion.
Right, and we'd encourage you to direct your constituents and friends, family, whoever in the village to our zoning hub for that information and sign up as they are willing to do.
This is what you always hear. Well, I never get it. You never tell us. Well, here we can tell you. If you want that information, that first step sure has got to come in and sign up for it. But in most cases, you could talk about every item that's up for plan commission or for zoning change, and you could probably get more emails than you want. In regards to, but most people are interested in their area and how it impacts them.
Emily, does this have a feature where people can leave comments about a particular project?
Sure, yes, it does. And I'm not sure.
I don't know that we have set that up yet, but that is a feature that we could employ at some point. We're going to try and walk before we run with this, but it does have a lot of features that over time we'll learn more about and set up and put in place.
Does anybody have any comments about this or this?
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to point out, I hope everyone has seen our signs that have gone up. Beginning this year, for every property that's subject to a public hearing, we are posting the property with one or more signs along public rights-of-way or in other conspicuous locations. In fact, we put one up along a property we thought no one would see it, and it was, I think, the first comment we got was somebody saw it and it was sort of tucked away off the road a bit because of the way the property lines were arranged. But so the signs are going to be posted on the property, and then the property owners within 1,000 feet who get a notice, and not just a copy of the notice, but a more easily understood letter explaining what's proposed in the envelope that has a sticker on it with a similar color and wording, including the German Shepherd, so there's some connection between what people might see out in the field and what they get in their mail. So hopefully they'll open it up and say, well, what's going on here, as opposed to possibly just tossing it away because it says the village on the top.
Very nice.
It has been recognized. I did get feedback. What's going on there?
Okay.
So, yes.
Good.
It is working.
It's good to know. That's the whole point, is to get people to ask the question. So we can give them the information and direct them to the zoning hub.
All right, anything else? Nothing else? Any announcements?
Oh, one last announcement.
Sure.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
We would like to go completely paperless in 2020. Right now, everybody gets a hard copy packet along with a digital version. We'd like to follow in the footsteps of the village board and go to a completely digital packet that you view at home and here. And the question that I have is, we do have village-owned laptops that can be made available to you here when you're, during the meeting, that has the information loaded up, the PDF. We could preload that PDF on the laptop and have it available for you, or can you bring your own with, with that information downloaded where you can view it here? Is there anybody, think it over and let us know if you prefer to, bring your own machine, or if you need access to a laptop here during the meeting.
What does that do to the submittal requirements, and is it just all digital from those that are requesting?
No, we are going to keep a requirement that they submit a limited number of hard copies for our filing purposes at this point. And for anybody who might, obviously, we're going to have a digital version so people could look at it online, but if somebody were to walk in and want to actually see a hard copy, we'll at least have that in the file that they could look at least for now.
Okay. Mr. Leshevsky?
One last wrap-up on, does that make enough of a link between the website and zoning hub? So if because that's frequently, it's like, go to this website to find more information. You go to the website, and it's just like all kinds of stuff, but you can't find exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, the thought wasn't necessarily that this would link somebody's thought process right to the zoning hub, but it would get them aware of that there's something going on this particular property, and if they want more information, to go to our website and go or give us a call. Once you get to the website, there are a couple of ways that you can get to.
Can you put the little dog by the zoning hub thing? Seriously, it'd work. That'll make it.
Well, we have some.
The cursor goes over, it barks.
Apparently, there's some limitations in our website that we're trying to work around, but.
We do have, I can point out, we've added proposed development to the top bar as well. So if you click on that, it has the public hearing information for the items before Plan Commission today.
See, if that front page enabled us to attach icons like the dog and the green sign or our 2050 plan logo, we would have done that. But we're limited to what we have to work with, and right now it's that text bar across the top.
I just want to comment, Jeff, for quite a few months now, I've been trying to use my computer all the time when I come here. I have to commend the village for, I'm not the most environmentally conscious person on the planet, but I do hate to take a stack of paper like that, use it for a few hours and throw it in the bucket back there, so I like the idea. It's tough on the really big prints, but it's doable.
Right. Well, I appreciate you working with us on that, and anybody, just let us know if you want us to provide a laptop. I forget how many we have available, but the board has.
There's two of them on board nights.
Yeah, I think Deanna, the clerk, indicated that she had at least 3, if not up to 6, that could be made available.
Yeah, I know on village board night, there's 2 of them out here, one on that side, one on this side.
All right, anything else? Any other announcements? If not, we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night.